To introduce our speaker this morning, Nancy B. from Denton, Texas.
My name's Nancy Burkhalter, and I'm a real alcoholic. I haven't been surprised that people notice my one drink. I've just been surprised I'm the only one that's carrying one. That's been counted bad up. Boy, because of a loving God, patient, loving God, and meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous and people just like you, I've been sober since November the 7th, 1981, and I'm certainly grateful for sobriety. Thank you. Thank you, because I know you're clapping for Alcoholics Anonymous, and I clap for Alcoholics Anonymous every time I wake up, too. I don't look for one eye. I'm looking for both of them, because still this a while later. But I am so grateful that I don't even know how to begin to thank you. You know, starting with Sarah and that first phone call. And I tell you, I want to thank the San Fernando Valley Conference and those people who built this. Places like this, miracle weekends for something like this. Because I know, and I want you to know that I'm a small part of a really big deal. A really big deal. And I thank you for that. Those who helped pull this together before and certainly today. I thank the San Fernando Valley Conference because I understand you're going to let Reza travel with me now and pay his expenses. That is so nice. You know, we do things big in Texas too, but that is nice. He has been just a delight, and I thank you for him. And my friends Michael and Shamu welcomed me into their home. And you know, it's hard being an alcoholic, not drinking, getting to go places and being treated like a princess. But I want you to know that I've worked hard all weekend to accept every single thing you've given. May have to charter a plane, but that's all right. What an incredible thing. Because I gave up one drink. And I didn't give it up too late. I want to thank the other speakers. It's just been amazing to be reminded of many things and to just have a renewed hope. Because I got good news today. I love getting to come and share about good news. But I didn't have any idea I was going to have so much in common with the other speakers. You know, Craig and I were brilliant when we got here. I'm still brilliant, but you know, we had a lot of great ideas when we got to Alcoholics Anonymous, and we were willing to come and share them with you, you know, in those first few minutes of sobriety. And John was the Al-Anon speaker, and, you know, we had a lot of bad behavior, blamed it on our parents. I could relate to that. And I don't ever want to forget that. That's a part of my past. You know, Sister Maurice and I have been spiritual our whole lives, saints, and I could relate to that, and I appreciate it. And we both come from some place where we don't have accents. I've always wanted to have one, Herb. I've always wanted to have one. But what a great thing. Thank you. If you're new, I want to tell you that you'll say thank you long before you mean it. If you'll hang around, I hope you hang around long enough. It sounds kind of silly, but I want you to hear me. I said thank you long before I meant it because you told me to. Boy, there's some folks in here that, and, you know, go wash the cups and say thank you. And you'll hear about me. I would go, oh, you were talking to me. And but if you hang around long enough, you'll say thank you for just being a small part of a really big deal. There's not a way I can thank you enough for just letting me be right here in another meeting. Because, see, what I know is that I'll never be the same after being with you. And there's just no way to thank you for that. If you're those folks in your first 30 days, it is my opinion that I'm getting to welcome you into the greatest miracle of the 20th century. Without question, the greatest miracle of the 20th century. Whoa. And I, too, want to see you next year down the road. I want to see you staying sober because, as Sister Maurice so eloquently pointed out, we don't all stay. And there wouldn't be room in this room if everybody was here that needed to be here. So thank you for that. I want to thank those people that kept standing after 25 and 30 years and 40 years. I want to thank you because you know what? I have a feeling alcoholism isn't waning. We're not hurting for newcomers. And oh, you're so valuable. But I got to tell you, I still need to know what path to take. And I thank you for coming back day in and day out and being in meetings like this so that somebody like me who didn't deserve to get here in the first place is here and you'll help me know where to go next all day today and tomorrow. And I thank you for that. What about that show? The show on Friday night. The talent. Oh, the talent to write and to put that together. And I used to say that I was a musician until I saw the show. Now I say I'm a musician. But what a deal. Boy, I know I got to get going. There's two things I know are important for me to tell you, and that's that I can't see my watch. And the other thing is that I'm a teacher, so time means nothing to me anyway. So might want to kind of sit back. And I am so willing to tell you a little bit about how it was and what happened, how it is now. Most of that first part is hearsay. I wasn't there a lot, but as many of you sitting here, I think you could probably raise your hands. You have somebody actually probably pretty close to you that told you a lot about what happened. And I have some of those that filled in those gaps that they thought I had. But, you know, I don't ever want to forget where I came from. And that's another thing, newcomers, I didn't understand that. Two things I did not understand when I got to Alcoholics Anonymous by accident. Why you were so obsessed with not drinking. That's all you talked about. Don't drink. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'll move on. Couldn't believe that's all you talked about. But I got to tell you, I'm a real alcoholic. I so appreciate your reading that. I've never been to a convention that read parts of chapter 3, because let me tell you something, I would have missed the whole thing. I am described perfectly on page 21. I am that person that might have started out as a problem drinker. I might have, but at some point in my drinking career, I crossed the line, and I didn't mean to. And I crossed that line, and when I put alcohol in this body, I don't know what's going to happen next either. I have no idea. I might have one drink. Could happen. I've never known it to, but it could happen. Yeah, just yesterday I had a nap with Shamu. Wait. I didn't have a nap with Shamu, Sister Maurice. Oh. He napped on my couch. You know. I had to get him for that because he's been picking on me all weekend. But anyway, I am a real alcoholic. And I don't ever want to forget that. And you know what? I was born a very long time ago into alcoholism. And I got to talk about that a minute. I know I don't have to describe it in this room, but I got to talk about it a minute. See, today we have a consciousness about alcoholism. You hear it. There wasn't, Oprah and all this stuff on every day. They weren't talking about alcoholism. I didn't know that, for example, I was born the child that maybe if we have another kid, things will get better. I didn't know that. How could we have known that back then? I didn't know that that I had not learned yet that drinking is really, really bad. And people who drink are bad, very bad, and should be punished. I didn't know that. I didn't know that when we got home, my father would have trouble taking direction. Okay? That even though my mother gave good, orderly direction, my father would be somebody who would not be able to take that. I did not know that if my father ever took a drink, he had to take another one. And I didn't know that my mother had to stay busy. She had to stay busy. See, I know that we call that alcoholism today. I didn't know that. I was an alcoholic, I know today, out of the chute. If I could have asked, I'd have said something like, I was the fastest one today, wasn't I? Yeah. Being born. Yeah. I was competitive, and I wanted to be the best from the absolutely from the chute. And now then I go home to an alcoholic home. But we didn't know that. We didn't know that. I can remember, I have this vague memory of my mother getting my father's face, kind of like this, and saying, Ray, I want you to go to work, and then I want you to come home. I want you to go to work, and then I want you to come home. Now, you're going to find out I'm the smartest person I know. Okay? And I thought, oh my gosh, my father's retarded. How could this across land? Please tell me I'm adopted. Because he got the go to work part, but he really didn't get to come home. After much, good orderly direction. And now I didn't understand that time. See, and I didn't laugh. Somebody said it last time. I didn't laugh at that for very much. Because see, what happens, that doesn't get a pre-Al-Anon down. Okay. When you think about it. Because my mother would go home from her own job every afternoon and start fixing dinner. Because 5 o'clock was dinner time. And we're going to sit down. And we're going to sit down to dinner because that's when you have dinner. As the family, it's time. And she would do that, thinking that old boy's truck was going to come in the driveway. And that we'd sit down and have dinner. Now, it didn't happen yesterday. It didn't happen the day before that, but we think it's going to happen. And my mother would do that. But it didn't get her down. She would go to the phone and she'd dial all, the Bloody Bucket and all those places we have in Texas. And she'd say, is Ray there? And he'd say, no. The bartender would say, no, of course. Anyway, now we call 7 places and we know where he isn't. Okay? But alcoholism doesn't leave anybody out. It's not funny, but thank God we can laugh today. You know why I said that? Because we're going to put those kids in the car and we're going to go find him where he isn't. Because we're not discouraged yet. And me and my brother, we didn't want to go. I know there are people in this room that didn't want to go, and you go and my mother would send me in there to get my daddy, tell him to come home. It was never the right thing to do. And he would come home. You know how I know I was raised in alcoholism? Because my mother, I know, loved me. I know my father loved me to death. I know that. And yet when we would be leaving, my mother would say, I want you to go get in the truck with your dad. She knew absolutely if I got in trouble with my daddy would come home. And we could have that dinner. We'd get home and I would be the one that would forget within moments. I'd say, Daddy. And boy, that I would cut around and she'd say, don't you talk to him. And I thought, well, I cannot wait to get married. Okay. First, you got to teach them how to go to work and come home. And then when you figure out that doesn't work, don't worry about it. Go find them where they aren't. And then bring them home so you cannot talk to them. Now, don't forget, I'm the smartest person I know, and I'm kind of confused. But let me tell you something. The next part isn't as fun. I look at my mother, and I know today that from her heart of hearts to her very core, she believed that if we left him out at the bar, he wouldn't know that we were mad at him. He wouldn't know that he was being punished. She thought that she was teaching us that drinking is bad. And people who drink are very bad. And they should be punished. I wished I could tell you I didn't learn the lesson very well, but I did. I haven't taken a drink yet still. I'm not going to take a drink. I'm not going to be like that pathetic person who can't even go to work and come home. There were other words I used for my family through those years, and I'm glad that I don't repeat them anymore. But I did treat my family like second-class citizens because all of a sudden I'm beginning to get the picture. I can't believe this is my family. I'm gonna be smart, and I'm gonna be independent. I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna get out of town as quickly as possible, and I'll never need another human being as long as I live. We tell you, sadness of that is that you can do it. I just cut myself off then, because you know what? I was competing with alcoholism, and I don't care who you are, you will not win. Thank you for teaching me about that. You won't win. And I didn't win. And I couldn't wait to get out of there. But I have to tell you, I can't tell you a lot about it, but I went on to college to become rich and famous. Except we didn't need anybody, and then I majored in education. But anyway, but the truth is that for 4 years in college where people sort of think it's appropriate to party and have a good time, I punished people who drank. I'll just give you one example. We used to go out and I would rehearse with them. I realized I didn't go to work, come by, but I would rehearse, how many are you going to have? And they would always say 2. I'd say, good. Could you remember that this time? And on the way home when they had, this is so embarrassing, but I think I should tell it. They would like drink more than 2 and sometimes go home with people they did not know. Do you see what I'm saying, what I had to do? And because I'm not drinking. I'm not going to drink. Drinking is bad. And I would bring them back to the dorm because I'm the designated everything. And I would help them halfway up the metal stairs. Every alcoholic in this room is smiling that sound of boop, 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 boop. I mean, every alcoholic. But, I mean, you think about that. I believe, I'm taking a risk. There could be somebody in this room that was there. But I am so serious. I believe still, I hate alcohol and alcoholism so badly that I really took on the role of the punisher, and I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought I was saving these people who were my friends from the absolute pathetic state of being that I saw my father in. And I believed it, and I did it for a long time. I still haven't taken a drink. I didn't drink in junior high or high school. I didn't drink in college because I'm not going to be that. Don't you know? I'm smart. I am becoming an educated woman. I'm gonna set myself free, and I'm not gonna look back, and I'll never need them for sure. They ruined my whole life. I didn't have trouble putting enough money in my bank or taking the keys to a new car that my father was paying for because I thought they owed me, and I treated them like that. Until one day, I'll never forget, they came knocking on my door. I lived in a singles apartment that my dad paid for. I'm driving a new car, and there's parties down by the pool every day. And those ladies that I used to try to help through college came to party. They wanted to party. And I was like, okay, let's party. Can you imagine? Can you imagine what they thought? They said, so you're going to drink? And I said, no, perhaps I've been harsh. Maybe we should party. You know, let me tell you, I know some of you are ahead of me, and I'm glad. Because I tell that story because I don't want to ever forget it, because I wish I could tell you that I just took my first drink because I realized that I'd been wrong, that I realized that I really didn't know what I was talking about when I was punishing other people, but I took that first drink because I didn't want them to go away. I took my first drink, and immediately I have compromised everything I believe. I know that drinking is bad, and people who drink are pathetic. And I want you to know that I felt every ounce of that when I took that first drink. And I want you to know that I punished myself in ways that I won't describe. I compromised myself in every other way. But I have to tell you what I did. We're drinking and drinking and drinking, and they passed out and went home with people they didn't know, like always. I stepped over them. I went into my bathroom. I took off my clothes. I put on my pajamas. And I looked in the mirror, and I said, I even drink better than everybody else. I even drink better than anybody else. That's where my terror went, straight to arrogance. I got to tell you, what I know is that the only thing I brought you is an arrogance that is indescribable, that is founded on nothing but terror. You've heard it all weekend, and I love being reminded. I am terrified, and I know under no circumstance am I going to be enough. Are you kidding? Do you see where I came from? My parents have ruined my whole life. It's a miracle that I'm in college, that I'm making it, and now I'm out. I used to believe that once I got out of college and I moved to Houston to start teaching, people would move so their children could come and please. I had to believe that. I got to believe that I'm better, richer, whatever, just to stay in the same room with you. Give me a minute and I'll convince you I'm taller than this. I got to tell you, I was good. I was good in hiding that terror and acting like I thought I was very special. But I've moved 2 or 3 times already, and I don't like who's locking the door at the end of the day. There's nobody home. I'm not going to be relating to another human being. I will not. I don't want to do all the things that I learned growing up in alcoholism. So now, but I'm a professional and I'm set the world on fire. But I fed the alcoholic alcohol. Now I'm not going to do things like drink and drive, and I didn't. I'm not going to have that morning drink. Are you kidding me? That must be what the problem was. My father was pathetic. He wasn't educated. I mean, I'm never going to be like that, and I didn't. I want you to know I didn't break any of my rules. I went on to graduate school. Of course I did. I'm the smartest person I know still. Went to Michigan, caused a couple accidents, got my master's degree in 9 months and made straight A's. Whew. Nobody's writing that down. I got to tell you, I know there's one other person who can relate to this in the other room. I guess I think you're going to stop me in the mall and go, oh my gosh, could it be her? Because I got to believe I'm better. I'm desperate to believe that I'm better than you. I'm desperate because I know under no circumstance will I be enough. So I come back to Texas and they were glad. And I get back here and now I'm teaching school again. I was teaching public school at the time and I love teaching. By the way, I got all kind of teaching awards. And it's like it was said, it's not hard to get teaching awards when you're doing your job and his job and her job and everybody's job because nobody could do it like me. And I'm moving a lot, I noticed. I would try to help these schools and they wouldn't do what was best. So I'd move to another town. And I'd move to another town. You taught me about that after I got to you. I always believed that I was going to a better job, a better situation. See, I always bought my own story. I was the one telling it and I was the one buying it. And I always bought my own story. But I'm drinking. But see, because I'm not alcoholic, you understand, I'm only drinking when it's necessary. And I'm only drinking one. Or 2 at a time. And I'm not breaking any of those rules. Now that's important. I'm not breaking any of the rules. So significant. Have you ever been speaking or sharing in a meeting and then you hear some truth, so like come out and you're like, oh, wow, I'm clueless. I am so clueless how much trouble I'm in. I have fed an alcoholic alcohol. So you know how fast I'm getting in trouble. I'm not breaking in those rules. You know what I know today is that I am so grateful for that night I can remember drinking over something very important and drinking some more. And drinking some more and saying all the while, not again. Not again. I don't want to drink too much tonight. But I'm saying that because I'm in public and I don't drink. I don't get drunk in public. That's for those of you that are pathetic and uneducated. Okay, now that's what I'm saying. But I realize that I am in public. I'm sitting in a restaurant, but I'm drinking because it's necessary. And I can't stop drinking. And then I go out to hear some live music and I'm drinking some more because it's necessary. Because I need to not be who I am that moment. And there have been so many times that I had done that and said, not again. This is the last one. Boy, I could relate to that. This is the last one. And man, the dilemma now, I got to drive. And of course, I hadn't met you, so I don't know how to say, boy, I sure can't drive. I can't drive. I don't want to forget that night that I drove and and began to relate to some of you that talked about covering one eye or holding your head sideways or whatever. I wasn't laughing. I was judging you. But it's one of those things where all of a sudden I got home. Unfortunately, I was told I made a few stops on the way that involved me talking to people. That's sad. But I did do that. I drove after I'd been drinking, and I was never going to do that. Broke one of my rules. I will never forget waking up one morning and having two feelings that were bad and worse. One, I felt horrible about the fact that I needed and wanted there to be a drink on the side of the bed. Okay? And two, that there was one. That there was a drink on the side of the bed. I didn't see that happening. I didn't see it coming. I don't know which feeling felt the worst, but I can remember picking up that drink. See, I was never going to do that. Because that's, people like my father did stuff like that, and I wasn't going to ever do that. And I remember doing that. I remember breaking rule after rule. See, I didn't drink and drive out in public. Truly, I'm still out there at the party, whatever, judging you for doing that, wanting to punish you for doing that. But I didn't break those rules until I did. And if I could look every one of you in the eye this morning, I would. I would love to say, thank goodness I finally stopped depending on those rules, and I finally started breaking those rules. Now, it sounds maybe strange to say, but I got to tell you, I have compromised everything that I am. I didn't always go to my own room, take off my own clothes, That didn't necessarily always happen. Okay. But I'm telling you, I've broken them all, and I'm just in a state of shock. But I'm grateful today. Why? Because if we went out in the parking lot here in this beautiful, beautiful place, and somebody much stronger than me threw a rock, I suspect we'd hit a house, we'd hit a car, something where alcoholism is happening right here on a Sunday morning. I suspect somebody right now is taking that drink that they said, no, not today. I'm not going to do it today. I suspect some man or woman is deciding whether to stay or go. I suspect there may be some child in a closet somewhere, scared, wondering when it's going to be over. See, I know that's the truth, so I don't kid myself. Thank goodness I broke those rules. Because see, the part you got to hear is that, no, I didn't maybe drink or drive or have that morning drink, but I'm back at the house, and I'm sitting on my own couch or in that chair drinking myself to death. But now I've broken those rules, and it's out there. It's out there. I begin to say things I didn't mean. You've had one drink more than you intended, and you say things that you didn't mean, and you do things you didn't mean to do. And you blame it on somebody else. That's how I know I'm an alcoholic. I just had behaviors that I never, ever, ever thought could be possible. I'm an educated woman. I have 2 degrees to tell me that. Every time I used to get real uppity about my education, my sponsor would say, we have something right here in our house that has a lot of degrees. And I'd go, what? And he said, a rectal thermometer. Oh. So even when I think about getting a little, I just, okay. Got it. But you know what? Now I finally, I forgot to tell you, if this gets boring, can you spice it up a little bit on that side? So now I don't know what to do. I know it should be punished. I know that, but I don't know what to do. And thank goodness that somebody, the last person on earth I'd ever want to see or know, the girlfriend of my lover that left me and forgot we were going to be together for our whole life, 12-step me. Oh, you're going to be a lot nicer to me after that, aren't you? I'm talking She is in my face. Now, I did happen to be outside of this person's place of employment, partially clothed, and screaming at the top of my lungs that one last thing that I needed to say. Just that one last thing. It seems as though the night before we'd had a dinner party in our home. I can't believe this is coming up. Are you really sure? Okay. Sister Maurice and Rose, do y'all want to go? Seems the night before we'd had this dinner party, and we had a hot tub, beautiful yard, light music, and I'd had a few drinks. And I got in the hot tub, which is, I understand, not a great combination. And it seems, I was told, that when a particular song came on, I became a bodybuilder. And when I got not in the hot tub, I was a bodybuilder on the deck of the hot tub. Through the whole song. And I'm seeing my muscles ripple. It's a funny story. Never been asked to do it again. Never, ever. Couple of problems with that. I'm not a bodybuilder. I had nothing on. And if I'd had something on, it would have been a 6'6" rather than a 2'2". Funny story. I'm glad, you've heard it all weekend. Thank goodness I can laugh about that today. Because when you can laugh, when you get to the laughter, you know you've healed. See, I humiliated people in my own home. It wasn't very funny. I had colleagues there from at the school I taught, and nobody else had to humiliate themselves. I had to be told the next day that that's what I'd done. Now, I'd love to tell you this great drunk along a log of many funny stories. The truth is, I'd be telling somebody else's story. The truth is that I want you to hear that I brought you nothing but arrogance built on terror, that I was constantly pretending that I was somebody I wasn't, and that I have compromised myself in every way I know. And I'm punishing myself and trying to do it better, but I can't. See, I am a real alcoholic, but I didn't know that. I am in awe of people with less than 30 days sitting in this room. You'd had to tell me we were going somewhere else. I didn't have even remotely have that much honesty. I didn't know I was in trouble. I walked into an AA meeting because I'd have gone to the zoo that day if I thought I could have gotten what I wanted when I wanted it. And somebody else had to say, you're in trouble with alcohol and there's a solution. And I have no idea, none, why I said, okay. I have no idea. What I know is it's a day of the meeting and I'm not sure what you're going to say. So I made sure I wore something that had just come from the cleaners because I'm going to look good. I'm going to be on time. And I probably shouldn't drink today until I figure out, what the rules are. Because I'm not going to break the rules. And you know what? I didn't. I stayed sober many a minute. Just because I wasn't going to break the rules. Because, you're following your rule, I'm sure. So that's what I brought to Alcoholics Anonymous. I mean, that first meeting, it was small. It was really sad that it was small because they were going to get to me. And I don't have a clue why I'm there. I really am in awe of the people who walk in and say, I am done. I can't do it anymore. I'm in trouble because that certainly wasn't me. I tried to, I am listening. I know that because I was so blown away by some of the things that you said. But I'm listening out of this ear, but out of this eye, I'm memorizing the steps in case there's a question and answer period. Because I'm smart and I just want to be able to refer back to whatever it is that we're going to talk about. That's what I brought you. And you know what they said at the end of the meeting? They said, there's another meeting here tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, and we sure hope you'll come back. Somebody like me thought that they just wanted me to finish my story. I had no idea that they cared. They saw absolutely to my very soul. And they knew that I was a child of God who deserved sobriety just like anybody else. I'm not enough. And they knew that. And they said, I sure hope you'll come back. I couldn't believe it. And I went back. I'm not even alcoholic. I caught it here or something. I don't know. And I went back. Thank you. See, I think that talks about everybody in this room, not me. I couldn't believe it. And I went back the next night. And I'm not drinking because it's against the rules. And see, I used to say, well, I only really drink when I'm on edge. And I'm edgy at this point. Because I tell you what, if you're alcoholic, go about 2 or 3 weeks without a drink, and you'll say, this is a problem, that's not drinking. And I am a little edgy. I don't know. And you're making all kinds of strange suggestions. Sponsor? I went, is that for the uneducated? Oh, I got to tell you, because of the long-timers meeting yesterday, there was a gentleman in there that said he'd been sober since the early 70s. And I want you to know, I said, I don't know if I'll stay sober. I don't know if I'll even stick around. But even if I don't, I'm going to give this guy my card. And I will tutor him. Even if I don't stay, I'll tutor him. Because, good grief, he's been here since the 70s. That is so sad. There's only 12 things to do. It is so sad. Yeah. That's what I brought you. I came late and I left early and sat I balanced in a chair and waited for you to make me feel better. And when you didn't, I didn't understand Alcoholics Anonymous. I wondered when it was going to start working. I did that for longer than I'd like to tell you. Because I got to say to my new friend down here I was eating breakfast with, I didn't know the difference between being sober and living in recovery. I didn't have any keys to the kingdom. Truth and me had not been in the same room forever. That's scary, isn't it? That's scary. But I got to tell you, I keep coming back, and I did get a sponsor. I got a sponsor, and to the best of my ability, I started doing some of those things. But mostly, I'm only going to meetings and wanting you to make something different for me. But thank goodness. Thank you for continuing to put your arm out. I would not hug you. I reached my arm out about as far as you can. I'd already caught alcoholism from you. So I'm like, whoa. Be careful, newcomers. You'll come to those meetings where they get you in the back. They'll hug you from the back. Then remember that day when you want desperately to put your arms around somebody and you don't know how? You've wanted your parents maybe to notice or to touch you. I'd never touched my parents. Wasn't about to. And I remember that day that I met Dennis and Linda Lamphere, who were in a meeting in the sky as we speak. Much too soon. Much too soon. Died with continuous sobriety and continuous days of quality recovery in both AA and home. I met them, and I learned something that I cannot wait to tell you the good news. I learned that sobriety and recovery is not a spectator sport. It's not a spectator sport. So be careful. Don't come back if you don't want everything to change. Don't come back if you're still willing to fight for second place in your life. Don't come back. Because I got to tell you, it's going to just ruin your day. Because I don't ever want to go back to a day that's okay. You've ruined that for me yet again this weekend. I want to go home and frown for a week. My face hurts so bad. I got to tell you. See, they taught me it's not a spectator sport, and so I began to get busy. I got there early. And I stayed afterwards and I washed cups and I said, thank you. Didn't make any sense. Most of the things they tell me in here still don't make much sense. Because I am clueless left to my own devices. But you know what? I love to tell about how it is now. And the best way, it appears to me lately, that keeps coming up when I ask God to please move me out of the way long enough so that we actually can hear the value and the beauty of God's love, is that one day I called my sponsor. I have to tell you a little bit about that sponsor who taught me about recovery, though. One day I am leaving my place of business, my school where I was teaching, and I'm driving. Oh, I'm driving like a mad woman because I was mad. Something had happened. Well, I didn't want you to mistake me as somebody who would do that who wasn't mad. I am driving as unsafely as probably ever I did drunk. But I had a good reason, just like when I drive. Something, you'll get it. Something had happened at work that was really wrong. And I was getting righter by the moment. It was horribly wrong what had happened. So I got to get home to get my sponsor on the phone so I can tell him how wrong it had been and how I was going to right it. Okay? Well, wait a minute. Hello? Dennis. Oh, I'm so glad you're home. I got to. And he said, whoa. This must be really important to you. He was educated, but a little slow, kid. And I said, yes, it is very important to me. And he said, well, then I better get some coffee. I said, okay, I'll wait. And he said, oh, no, you go ahead. You go ahead, and possibly when I get back, we'll get down to the exact nature of wrong. Because then we can get in the solution. Now, I didn't ever tell him, but I was laughing too. I had to put my hand over the phone. Okay, that was pretty funny. But I got to tell you, another time, if I could look every one of you in the eye, I'd say, boy, I sure hope you have somebody that loves you that much in your life. Boy, he knew exactly when to tell me he'd rip my arm off and hit me with it. With that little smile that they had. Or when to tell me that if he needed to drive for 6 to 8 hours to sit beside me and hold my hand, he would have done either in any given moment. He's the one that taught me to put my arms around you. Truly. He had to say, okay, put your arm like this and put your arm like this. Because I'd never done it. And he said, sometimes when you hug people, it's good to act like you like it. But you know, the man, he held me. See, because he respected me as long as this is all I wanted. And he held me on so many occasions. He knew exactly what to do. And he knew that day I didn't need to get a second rider. And we got to the exact nature of the wrong, which, by the way, in that situation, had nothing to do with me. It had nothing to do with me. And so he prevented me from doing something that could have just caused more damage to me and others. Boy, please, if you don't today, find somebody who loves you that much, who will help you know it's not a spectator sport. Because let me tell you how it is now. It is such good news. It is such good news. See, I called him one day, and I said, Dennis. I'm sure he just went, oh. Yeah. I'm working pretty hard here. you don't want to just suck that back in. You just go, oh, I was kind of wondering what I'm going to get. Ugh. And right when you think they're going to be consistent and go, I can't believe you said that. It's not you, you're so-and-so. But she goes, I am so glad you asked me that. I said, oh, been meaning to. As we say in Texas, been meaning to. And he said, I want to tell you what you're going to get. And here's the good news. This is exactly how it is now. And by the way, those of you in your first 30 days, I want to tell you about some promises that he made for me that day. And I promise you that they will come true in your life every single minute, hour, day, month, year of your life, if you won't spectate. He told me, he said, I want to give you some promises. You have been working hard. And I said, oh, like on 83. He said, oh, no. These are special promises because you are so special. Okay. Thank you. He said, I promise you that if you will not take one drink, you'll never be drunk again. Now, I got to tell you, my brain went, I have erred. He only has 1 degree. And he's telling me, like somebody said so well last night. And I said, well, yeah, thank you. Thank you. But guess what? 23 years later, I haven't taken a drink. And I have not been drunk. I don't take that for granted today. I don't take that for granted for a second. I'm glad somebody loved me so much that said, don't take 1 drink and you'll never be drunk again. Because let me tell you something. I don't know about you, but that means I haven't caused the problems that I caused when I was drunk. I haven't had the other consequences that drunkenness caused me every single day of my life. In 23 years, not happened. So that's how it is today for me. I am not drunk. And when my first 5 years, I was still saying things like, well, of course I won't drink again. Oh, I'm so grateful that that's not who I am anymore. I haven't taken that first drink. You know what? I've needed to. I'm just my story. If it comes up, you're hearing it. My mom, just different things that have happened to me through the years. I've needed to take a drink. And I guess the reason it's coming up because I'm supposed to say, see, I thought the miracle was that I hadn't taken a drink. That I never thought about drinking. And when people would talk about thinking about drinking, I was like, I'd want to go, shh, people are going to think you're not working hard. Hear that arrogance creeping back in? So you taught me that sobriety, and the miracle is that when I think about and need a drink, I haven't taken one. Thank you for that. I haven't taken that. He made another promise. He said, I promise you that if you'll go to meetings, and somebody like you, a lot of them, if you'll go to meetings, you'll meet people who feel like you do on the inside, who absolutely feel and know your very core, even if they don't look like you on the outside. It's no surprise to you that I wanted to know what kind of car you drove or what part of town you lived in. That's the best I had. And I come to meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous all over and almost every day. And I have people like you looking me in the eye and knowing exactly how I feel and caring about that. What a deal. I looked for that forever. And I promise you, you can have it every single day. That's a promise I can pass on to you. He promised me that if I would get a sponsor and work the steps, I'd done a little creative work in the steps before we'd gotten together. He said, if I would take direction from a sponsor and work the steps, this will blow your head off. You can become anybody you want to be. Do you remember that? I moved from town to town and I kept locking doors and the person home, I didn't like. And I'm exhausting myself outside that door trying to convince you that I do. And he's promising me that I can become anybody I want to be. Well, you think about that. Just by doing the first step and saying, you know what, I give up, I surrender. You know, they've never left us there. Have you noticed? They don't leave you on the first step and say, oh, isn't that sad? You are just so powerless. That's sad. Never been to a meeting like that. They've always given me 11 other things, a way of living, a design for living they give me because I was willing to walk through a door and say, I surrender. Can you imagine the power in becoming the person I want to be in the second and third step, where, in my opinion, I'm forming a partnership with the God of my understanding that is bigger than I could ever know. And so often that triangle means to me that it's always pointing to the top. And my sponsor's in one corner, I'm in the other. Or you're in that other corner today, and I'm in the other. And that triangle is complete. And in doing so, because of that partnership, I can do the 4th through the 9th step. I can say, I want to get rid of those things that made me not want to live with the person who was home. I want to get rid of the things that I'm not. One analogy I use sometimes is collecting trash. That I had so much trash in my life, but all you asked me to do is put it in the trash bag. Put it in my own trash bag and not yours, and not blame you for mine, and then take the trash to the curb. Take it to the curb. I don't know about you, but I can step over some trash sometimes. Take it to the curb. Have you ever had, maybe it happens in California and Texas, they don't ever knock on the door and say, oh, girlfriend, that is some trashy trash out there on the curb. And I ain't taking it. Well, guess what? I got good news. God won't do it either. You take the trash and you put it on the curb. That's called the 5th step. And God will be faithful in the 6th and 7th step to take the trash. That's a promise. And then, are you ready for that? When I get a chance to make some amends, to just say, I was wrong, and move forward. I can't think of one place in this country I could walk in, or any room in this country today, and see anybody. I don't have to hide. I don't know of any unfinished business. Now, even though I brought you that arrogance, I'm not breaking my arm to pat myself on the back this morning. Thank you for that. If I could thank you every day for that, I would. You helped me know how to take the trash out. And are you ready for this? 10, 11, and 12, 3, 7, and 11 remind us we don't ever have to do it by ourselves anyway. My whole self, brilliant self, got me here. But 10, 11, and 12 says every day I can get up in the morning and do it again. I can do these things every day that help me become the person I want to be. I wasn't kidding. I believe to my very core I'll never be the same after being in this meeting. Some of your faces I'll remember no matter where I go this afternoon or tomorrow or whatever. I will remember you. God's so faithful. So I'm not surprised that promise is how my life is today. I work the steps with a sponsor, and I am becoming the person I want to be. We're not even sort of done. We're not even sort of done. And remember me, I thought 12 steps, how long can it take? I'm not in a hurry. I'm not in a hurry. He made another promise that I want to pass on to you. He promised me that if I would study the literature, he loved to say, so what do you do with the textbook, professor? And I said, I know, I study, I study the literature. I never meant to say that it is an honor to have the people I sponsor sitting in my den studying the big book, studying the steps on a Wednesday night. I didn't mean to become that person. It's not what I brought you. And what an honor to read it one more time and to go, oh man, I never thought about that. And to know that every problem I have and every problem I cause, the solution is in the literature. That blows my mind still today. He promised me that God would always be big enough. Let me tell you about that. See, he said if I ever thought, but what about this one? What about this one? Some of you that have been around a while, do you remember that one in the 3rd year that you couldn't get through? Me either. you remember the one in the 5th year or year 12 and you went, but this one, I can't do this one. I don't remember what they were, but they were bad. What a miracle. I hadn't thought about that. So he's saying if I ever doubt that God is big enough, I'm the one putting the limits on. I'm the one that's trying to make my God fit somewhere where it wasn't intended for him to fit. Wow. Let me tell you why. Remember those pathetic, uneducated parents I had? I found out I'm not adopted. Okay? Now, my sponsor and people just like you sitting here said that I had to start treating them like you treated me. You know that prayer, Dear God, let people treat me today the way I treated people yesterday. And all of a sudden I was to go, when I went into their home, I wasn't to drive mile after mile after mile to sit in a room and glare at them because they've ruined my whole life. It was brought to my attention that at 35, maybe complaining that my father had not gone to my high school graduation, enough was enough. Okay? It was suggested to me that perhaps if I'd had such a painful past, I would like to stop living there. Because that's all I brought you. Is that, how it had been. And I'm working these steps and I'm putting that stuff down. And so when I walked into my parents' home, I started looking them in the eye. I started talking to them like people. Started talking about things other than the weather and me. Yeah. I really started doing that. Not my idea. It's all your fault. And it's all my sponsor's fault. I literally began to take direction. And then my father got very ill. And I got very scared. I kept going, oh, wait, I'm kind of beginning to get this thing. I'm beginning to talk to him like a respected person and like a person who was sick. Just like, when I just thought of it. When I walked into the hotel, of course, I was with some dear friends. I had gotten to see some familiar faces this weekend and met so many wonderful new faces. When I walked in the door, no one rushed over to me to say, well, wait, before you come in, what did you do when you were out there? Did you abuse children? Were you mean? Did you say things that you didn't mean? Did you do things you didn't mean to do? Nobody did that. But I can't count the number of times that people have just stopped and put their arm around me and said, oh, where are you from? You just greeted me and accepted me just the way I was. And my sponsors, because it's not a spectator sport, asked me to start doing that with my parents, and I did. My father was so sick, and I found out, I didn't know it was going to be his last time to be in the hospital, but we knew it was not good. And I asked my sponsors, I said, I don't know what to do. I'm being nice, but that's pretty much about it. And they made one of the strangest suggestions I've ever heard. Let me pass it on. They suggested that before I left his hospital room that day, that I might touch him and tell him that I loved him. And they know everything that he had done to me. And I said, okay. And I want you to know that I grabbed his foot. So intimidating. And I looked him in the eye and I said, Dad, I love you, and I got to go to lunch now with Laura, and she's going to pick me up in the front of the hospital, and we're going to go get a sandwich. Because I don't want you to forget that at any given time in my sobriety, that may be what I bring you. That may be the best I have. And you know what? They didn't make fun of me. They didn't go, well, that's not right. He said, okay, maybe you could do that every day. Every day you could do that. And I want you to know, oh, my friend, it didn't make much sense to go back and grab his foot the next day. I remember getting up a little closer and squeezing my dad's shoulder and saying, I love you, Dad. And the next day, I never saw him or talked to him on the phone that I didn't touch him and or tell him I loved him. Never. And on December the 25th, 1988 at 4 p.m. he went home. I wasn't ready for him to go home. So there's a message here too. But wait a minute, I'm doing it. And I wanted to bargain one more time. I'm doing it now. I think I'm going to get it right. There's no bargains. My daddy went home, and I miss him. Oh, I care about him. He had to go home to be free of alcoholism, just like we heard. He had to go home. Well, just as it would be, sponsors are never really satisfied. They thought it might be important for me to start treating my mother like that. I wish I could say I didn't say, but I did say, but she's not sick. I mean, I'm not walking on water yet, you know what I mean? The one day Dennis got the hint that I want, he said, it sounds like you want to walk on water. I said, maybe. Mop your kitchen, that's as close as you're ever going to get. But are you ready for this? So every day I see my mom, every day I'd go visit her. I touched her, I put my arms around her. She was like hugging this podium. And I said, I love you, Mom. And she'd go, uh-huh. Thank you for telling me that there's a code to uh-huh. I love you too, precious, because she didn't have you. She didn't have you to say. Go ahead and tell her out loud. Go ahead and say all the things that you want to say. But thank you for helping me become the person I want to be. Because I did that every single day. And guess what happened? 12 years later, the phone rings, and it's my sweet mother, and she says, Nancy, they tell me I can't live alone anymore. And I was there, and I was sober, member of Alcoholics Anonymous. And she said, you said I could live with you, and I want to know if you were telling the truth. And I said, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. See, what I brought to Alcoholics Anonymous would be somebody that you could say, oh, well, yeah, of course that's what daughters do, isn't it? I don't know, because I'd never been one. But let me tell you what, I got the call. I was a sober member of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I brought that sweet mother of mine to my house, and every day, one day at a time, I was of maximum service to her. I combed her hair, and then I took her to the beauty shop because I'd combed her hair. I painted her little nails. You know why I'm telling you this? Because God's big enough. I don't know how to do that. I know how to punish people. Alcoholism taught me to be separate from you, and I became a part of my family. I became a little sister, and a daughter. Today I'm a neighbor, and I'm a teacher, and I'm a friend. Because God is big enough. Nothing, not one thing I brought you taught me how to do that. And you know how it is today? I am a member of the Fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I know how to be a friend among friends. And I was a daughter to her one day at a time, and on November the 21st, 2000, she went home. And I miss her every day. I miss her every single day. Oh, if I had nothing else to thank you for, it would be enough. But every single day, because God is big enough, I keep getting more and more blessings for just that price of one drink. That's amazing to me. My best idea would have never come up with that. You know, the last promise he made to me, and I want to pass on, is that, Nancy, if you'll give back just a little bit of what you've been given, you'll get back tenfold. Wow. I wish you could see. Don't come up here, okay? I wish you could see what I see this morning. I wish you could see the love. I know you can feel it. I wish you could see what I could see. Because I was broken and not enough. And I didn't know it. And I came here, and you just asked me to come back. I had one more bit of good news that they've reminded you of on the table. This is the good news. There is no more aloneness with that awful ache so deep in the heart of every alcoholic that nothing before could ever reach it. That ache is gone and never need return again. Now there is a sense of belonging, of being wanted and needed and loved. In return for a bottle and a hangover, we've been given the keys of the kingdom. And I continue to get back tenfold. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.